You followed the advice, took the pills, did what you were told, and still don't feel well. You did everything right. You showed up to appointments. You swallowed hope in small white tablets. You waited for relief to arrive on schedule. And yet something inside never settled. After 60, the body may be treated, but the unease remains. The charts look fine. The tests come back normal. Friends say, at least it's nothing serious, but you know better. Because this isn't just about a knee or a back or a night of poor sleep. It's a low hum of tension that follows you into quiet rooms. It's not just pain anymore. It's restlessness you can't name. A feeling that even when you sit down, you're not resting. Even when life slows, your body doesn't. Even when there's nothing urgent, something inside stays on edge, like it's waiting for bad news that never arrives. You're not sick in the usual way. You're tired in a deeper place, tired of managing, tired of explaining, tired of pretending you're grateful while feeling empty, tired of carrying decades of responsibility, grief, and unspoken emotion that no prescription ever touched. Many people discover this quietly after the age of 60. The house is calmer, the schedule lighter, the noise reduced, and yet this is when the body finally speaks. Not loudly, not dramatically, but persistently. Through tight shoulders, shallow breath, sleepless nights, a sense that peace is always just out of reach. This isn't failure, it's information. The body isn't breaking down. It's telling the truth at last. It's saying that treatment helped, but something essential was never addressed. Something that can't be scanned or measured, but is felt every day. Because when the body has carried a lifetime of pressure, it doesn't heal just because effort continues. It heals when it no longer has to brace. And to understand why peace matters so much after 60, we need to look at what the body has been carrying all these years. 1. A tense mind keeps the body in survival mode. Your pain didn't start at 60. It accumulated over decades, long before retirement, long before the quiet mornings, long before you had time to notice it. The body was already learning how to stay alert, how to hold, how to push through. When the mind is always on guard, the body never truly rests. Muscles stay half tight even in sleep. Breathing stays shallow, as if danger might arrive at any moment. Healing doesn't stop completely. It just keeps getting postponed. The body remembers stress long after the events are over. Deadlines end, children grow up, crises pass. But the nervous system doesn't reset automatically. It keeps the posture, the breath pattern, the vigilance. What once helped you survive slowly becomes what exhausts you. Stress doesn't just live in thoughts, it settles into the wiring. Over time, the body forgets how to soften on its own. Relaxation begins to feel unfamiliar, even unsafe. Many symptoms are not signs of disease. They're signs of overload. The tight chest that comes and goes, the digestion that never quite settles, the pain that moves from joint to joint, the fatigue that sleep doesn't touch. These are not failures of the body. They are messages from a system that has been in on mode for too long. In Buddhist teaching, this state is called restless guarding, a condition where the mind never fully lays down its weapons. Even in peace, it prepares for war. A body that never felt safe cannot heal deeply. Safety is not just the absence of danger, it is the presence of ease. And many people reach their later years having known responsibility far better than ease. You spent years being needed, being reliable, and being the one who held things together. And when life finally slowed, the nervous system didn't know what to do with the quiet, so it filled the silence with tension. Loneliness often feels worse because the body is still bracing, not because no one is around, but because the body doesn't feel met. When the nervous system stays in survival mode, even companionship feels distant. Even rest feels restless. There is a Zen story of an old monk who complained of pain despite living a simple, peaceful life. His teacher asked him, "When did you last put the burden down?" The monk answered, "I never realized I was still carrying it." That is what happens when stress becomes a habit instead of a response. The nervous system doesn't retire just because you do. It needs to be shown, gently, repeatedly, that the danger has passed. And that rest is allowed, that nothing needs to be proven anymore. And here's the hardest truth for many people after 60. Effort cannot undo what effort created. You cannot push your way out of survival mode. You cannot force your body into peace. Trying harder often makes the tension worse. The body's not stubborn, it is protective. It learned vigilance because it had to, and it will not release that posture until it feels safe enough to do so. This is why so many people say, "I should be relaxed now, but I'm not." It's not because something is wrong with you. It's because the nervous system doesn't respond to logic. It responds to signals. And if years of inner tension created illness, fatigue, and unease, then relief cannot come from effort alone. It must come from something entirely different. Which is why calm, real calm, does something powerful in the opposite direction. 2. Why inner peace works when force fails. The body does not repair itself under pressure. Pressure tightens muscles, shortens breath, and hardens posture. And when the body's braced, its priority is not healing, it's survival. For many people, especially later in life, force became a habit. Push through the pain, ignore the fatigue, stay useful, stay strong. But the body never healed because of that strength. It endured because of it. Healing begins when the nervous system finally relaxes. Relaxation is not laziness. It is a biological state. When the nervous system senses safety, breathing deepens without effort. Muscles release their grip. Blood flow improves. Digestion restarts. Sleep finally reaches the deeper layers it couldn't access before. This is not a theory. It's how the body was designed. Peace is not weakness. It's a biological signal of safety. In Buddhist teaching, peace is described as non-resistance. Not surrender to suffering, but the end of internal war. When the mind stops attacking the present moment, the body receives a clear message. You can stand down now. And when the body stands down, it repairs. A calm mind gives the body permission to restore itself. Permission to rest without guilt. Permission to feel without panic. Permission to heal without being rushed. Many people confuse peace with giving up. They fear that if they stop trying, everything will collapse. But the opposite is often true. Force keeps the body stuck. Peace lets it move again. Breath is the first thing peace changes. A tense mind breathes shallowly, high in the chest. A peaceful mind breathes lower, slower, and deeper. That single shift tells the vagus nerve to reduce inflammation, calm the heart, and regulate stress hormones. Muscles respond next. Pain often lingers not because tissue is damaged, but because muscles never receive the signal to let go. Calm removes that signal of danger. Muscles soften. Pain changes shape. Sometimes it fades. Sometimes it loosens enough to be manageable. Digestion and immunity follow. A body in survival mode cannot digest well. It cannot absorb nutrients fully. It cannot mount a balanced immune response. Peace redirects energy from defense back to maintenance. This is why inner peace affects so many systems at once. It doesn't target symptoms, it changes the environment they live in. Sleep improves when peace replaces vigilance. Many older adults lie in bed, exhausted but alert. The body wants rest, but the mind keeps watch. Peace tells the body it doesn't need to stay on duty anymore. And only then does deep rest become possible. There is a Zen story of a farmer who kept pulling on a sprout to make it grow faster. Each day he tugged harder. Soon the sprout died. When asked what happened, he said, "I only wanted to help it grow." Force often looks like care, but it suffocates growth. Peace looks passive, but it creates space. Loneliness also softens when peace arrives. Not because people suddenly appear, but because the body no longer feels abandoned by itself. Inner peace becomes companionship, a quiet presence that doesn't demand anything. After 60, many people realize they've been managing life more than living it. Peace is what allows living to resume. Healing is not an act of will, it's a response to safety. And inner peace doesn't mean pain disappears overnight. It means the body finally stops fighting itself long enough to heal what it can. But here's the part most people miss. Inner peace doesn't appear just because we want it. It has to be allowed. 3. Inner peace is not doing nothing, it's stopping the fight. Peace is not silence. It's no longer arguing with yourself. Most people think peace means the absence of sensation, no pain, no sadness, no limitation. But that belief keeps peace out of reach, especially after 60, when the body naturally changes. Real peace begins when the inner commentary stops. The constant judging, the quiet scolding, the endless comparison with how you used to be. You don't need to fix your body. You need to stop fighting it. For decades, you may have treated the body like a problem to solve, a project to manage, a thing that keeps getting in the way. That mindset once helped you survive, but now it keeps you tense. The body doesn't respond to criticism with healing. It responds with defense. Pain softens when resistance ends. Not because pain was imaginary, but because resistance was amplifying it. And when the mind tightens against sensation, muscles contract, breath shortens, and the nervous system stays on alert. When resistance drops, pain often changes. It spreads less. It grips less. It stops demanding constant attention. This doesn't mean pain disappears. It means it no longer dominates, allowing changes in the relationship, not just the symptom. Allowing means letting sensations exist without panic, letting emotions rise without shame, letting limitations be acknowledged without turning them into personal failure. In Buddhist teaching, this is called meeting what is, not approving of suffering, but refusing to add more. There is a Zen story of a teacher who asked a student to sit with his discomfort instead of meditating away from it. The student resisted at first, but over time, when he noticed something unexpected, the discomfort felt less threatening when it wasn't being pushed away. Aging becomes harder when it's treated as an enemy. Wrinkles, slower movement, changing energy. These are not betrayals. They are transitions. When resisted, they feel cruel. When allowed, they feel human. Many people after 60 carry a quiet grief, not just for health, but for identity. The body they once knew, the pace they once kept. Peace allows that grief to be felt without collapsing under it. Loneliness deepens when you fight who you've become, not because you're alone, but because you're divided inside. Allowing brings you back into a relationship with yourself. And that relationship matters more than most people realize. When you stop fighting, the body notices immediately. Breath slows, posture softens, when the nervous system lowers its guard. Allowing is not passive, it is deeply brave. It takes courage to feel without fixing, to sit without distracting, To say, this is what's here right now, and I won't punish myself for it. In Zen, they say, when you stop pushing the river, it flows on its own. The body works the same way. Self-acceptance is not giving up. It's coming home to the body you have, to the life you're in, to the moment that's actually happening. Once the fight ends, something gentle replaces it: curiosity, respect, care. And once fighting stops, a new relationship with the body can begin. 4. Living with the body instead of managing it. The body doesn't need motivation, it needs reassurance. For much of life, motivation worked. Deadlines pushed you forward. Responsibilities demanded action. But after 60, the body responds differently. It no longer opens under pressure, it closes. What it needs now is the quiet message: you're safe. You don't have to prove anything. Small moments of calm matter more than big efforts. A single slow breath before standing up. A pause before answering a question. Sitting for 1 extra minute instead of rushing to the next task. These moments seem insignificant to the mind, but the body records them carefully. Managing the body means tracking, fixing, and correcting. Living with the body means noticing, responding, and staying present. Listening early prevents pain from having to shout. Most pain becomes loud only after it has been ignored. Fatigue whispers first. Tension hints quietly. Emotion tightens subtly. When these early signals are dismissed, the body raises its voice. Living with the body means responding to the whisper. Resting before exhaustion, stretching before stiffness locks in, feeling emotion before it hardens into an ache. This isn't indulgence, it's intelligence. Peace grows through consistency, not intensity. You don't build trust with the body through dramatic gestures. You build it the way trust is always built, by showing up again and again in ordinary moments. In Zen practice, students are taught to return to the breath thousands of times without frustration. The point is not staying calm. The point is returning gently when you're not. The body learns calm through repetition, not force. Each time you slow your breath, you say, I'm here. Each time you pause without guilt, you say, you matter. Each time you move gently instead of pushing, you say, I'm listening. For many people over 60, guilt is the hardest habit to release. Guilt for resting, guilt for slowing down, guilt for no longer doing everything they once did. Honoring fatigue is not weakness, it's cooperation. Fatigue isn't the enemy, it's a boundary. And boundaries are what allow relationships to last, including the relationship with your body. There's a Zen story of an elderly monk who was asked why he moved so slowly. He smiled and said, "Because my body speaks softly now." He had learned to match its pace instead of dragging it forward. Loneliness softens when the body feels accompanied. When you live with your body instead of managing it, you are no longer alone inside. Calm becomes company. Your breath becomes rhythm. Presence becomes a steady hand on your shoulder. Many people fear quiet because it reveals what they've been carrying. But when approached gently, quiet becomes relief. Moving gently doesn't mean doing nothing. It means choosing kindness over performance, curiosity over judgment, relationship over control. Living with the body means asking simple questions throughout the day. What do you need right now? What can wait? What would ease this moment? These questions change everything. Over time, the body begins to trust your answers. Pain becomes less defensive. Energy returns in honest waves. Sleep deepens without negotiation. You stop managing symptoms and start living in partnership. And this leads to the realization that many people discover too late. Inner peace is not the reward at the end of life. It's the support that makes life livable now. For many people, peace was postponed. After things settle, after I fix this, after I get through that. But after 60, the truth becomes clearer. Waiting costs too much. Peace is not a finish line. It's a daily support beam. No pill can replace the safety peace provides. Medicine can help with symptoms. It can manage conditions. But it cannot tell your nervous system you're safe. Peace does. And when safety is present, the body finally stops bracing. That's when healing can actually begin. The body heals best when it no longer feels rushed or judged. Rushed by expectations, judged for changing, compared to a past version that no longer exists. Peace removes that pressure. It replaces it with permission to move slower, be rest sooner, feel honestly, and be exactly where you are without apology. After 60, peace isn't optional. It's essential. Not because life is ending, but because life is finally asking for a different pace. Inner peace is not philosophical, it's biological. When calm becomes familiar, breath deepens, muscles soften, sleep reaches deeper layers, digestion steadies. Pain no longer has to shout to be heard. This is not a theory. It's how the body responds to safety. Peace doesn't mean nothing hurts. It means you're no longer fighting what hurts. And peace doesn't arrive all at once. It's chosen in small, ordinary moments. One slower breath, one pause without guilt, one act of listening before overriding yourself again. Tonight, try this simple shift. Sit quietly for a minute. Place a hand on your chest or belly. Breathe slower than usual. And say softly, I'm not rushing you. I'm listening. You can rest now. Let that be enough. If this message spoke to something familiar in you, take a moment to like this video. It helps this message reach others who may be struggling silently. If you'd like more reflections on aging, healing, and inner peace, subscribe to the channel. And if someone you care about could use this reminder, share it with them. In the comments, tell me this. What is one small way you can choose peace today? Not later, not someday, but now. After 60, peace isn't something you wait for. It's the medicine that keeps working once you let it.